Welcome, my friends. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that no one, not your past mistakes, not someone's harsh words, not the chaos around you, has the power to shake your peace. Imagine feeling emotions deeply, yet never being controlled by them, like a sailor navigating a stormy sea with calm certainty. This is the power of emotional detachment, a skill few truly master, but that can transform your life completely. It is not about shutting down, ignoring feelings, or becoming cold. It is about rising above suffering, protecting your peace, and living with clarity, strength, and freedom. Every time you let go of what you cannot control, stop chasing what drains you, or release the need for approval, you reclaim a part of yourself, your calm, your confidence, your inner power. In this journey, pain becomes a teacher, fear becomes a guide, and relationships become lessons rather than chains. This audiobook will take you step by step into the art of detachment, showing you how to face life with emotional independence, resilience, and grace. By the end, you will no longer be at the mercy of your emotions. You will master them, bend without breaking, and rise stronger than ever before. You don't detach to stop feeling, you detach to stop suffering. Emotional detachment does not mean you stop feeling or become cold like a machine. It simply means you stop letting your emotions control your peace. As human beings, we are meant to feel love, joy, pain, anger, fear. All these emotions make life real and meaningful. But the problem starts when we cling too tightly to people, situations, or expectations, and our happiness becomes dependent on them. That is when emotions begin to hurt us instead of guiding us. Detachment teaches you that feeling is natural, but drowning in feelings is not necessary. When you detach, you don't shut your heart down, you protect it. You observe your emotions instead of getting trapped inside them. You allow yourself to feel, but you no longer break when things don't go your way. Detachment is the gentle understanding that you can love someone and still not lose yourself. You can care deeply and still stay calm. It gives you the power to say, yes, this matters to me, but it cannot destroy my peace. You stop taking everything personally, you stop expecting too much, and you slowly reclaim your inner freedom. This kind of detachment doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you stronger, clearer, and more peaceful. You continue to feel everything, but you no longer suffer from everything. That is the true art of emotional detachment. Detachment is choosing what deserves your energy. Detachment is not about ignoring everyone or walking away from life. It is about wisely choosing where your energy should go. In today's world, everything demands your attention. People, notifications, problems, arguments, expectations. But not everything truly deserves it. When you are emotionally attached to every small thing, you react to everything, even when it drains you and steals your peace. Detachment teaches you to pause and ask yourself, is this really worth my energy? Will this matter tomorrow, next week, or next year? Most of the time, the answer is no. When you start choosing where to invest your emotions, life becomes lighter. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't want to understand. You stop arguing with people who only want to win. And you stop wasting time on situations that only give stress and nothing else. Instead, you save your energy for the things that truly matter: your growth, your peace, your loved ones, your dreams. Detachment teaches you that your attention is your power, and you should give it only to those things that uplift you, not drain you. Once you learn this, you become calmer, more stable, and more in control of your life. You realize that not every action needs a reaction. Sometimes silence, distance, and inner peace are the strongest answers. That is the beauty of choosing what deserves your energy. Detachment means letting people be who they are. Detachment is the gentle understanding that you cannot control people, change people, or force them to become who you want them to be. It is the acceptance that every person has their own mind, their own choices, and their own journey, and you cannot live their life for them. Most emotional pain comes from trying to manage or fix others, trying to make someone behave a certain way, trying to make them love you, trying to make them understand you, or trying to gain their approval. But the more you try to control people, the more frustrated and disappointed you become. Detachment teaches you to let go of this exhausting need. It helps you accept people as they are, without constantly wishing they would change. You begin to realize that their behavior is their responsibility, not your burden. Their decisions belong to them, not to your expectations. Their approval is not required for your happiness or self-worth. When you allow people to be themselves, you free yourself from emotional pressure. You stop chasing validation, you stop fixing what is not yours to fix, and you stop losing yourself while trying to please others. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It simply means you care without attachment, without control, and without fear. You give love with freedom, not with conditions. You set boundaries with respect, not with anger. And slowly you discover that peace comes the moment you stop controlling everything and start trusting that the right people will stay, the wrong ones will leave, and life will unfold exactly as it should. This is the quiet power of letting people be who they are. You reduce suffering when you drop expectations. One of the deepest truths of emotional detachment is understanding how much pain comes from expectations. Most of the time, situations don't hurt us as much as the expectations we attach to them. We expect people to treat us a certain way, to understand our feelings, to stay loyal, to support us, to behave exactly the way we imagine, and when they don't, we feel hurt, disappointed, or even betrayed. But the reality is simple. People act according to who they are, not according to what we expect. Detachment teaches you to release these invisible demands from your mind and heart. When you stop expecting, you stop getting disappointed. You start seeing people clearly, not through the lens of your hopes. Acceptance replaces frustration. You accept that people may not always behave the way you want, and that's okay. You accept that things may not always go according to your plans, and that's okay too. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over constant emotional struggle. It means understanding what you can control and what you cannot. When you drop expectations, your relationships become lighter, your mind becomes calmer, and your heart becomes freer. You begin to appreciate people for who they are, not for what they should be. You enjoy moments without holding them to a standard. And most importantly, you stop suffering from disappointments that were never in your control in the first place. This simple shift from expectation to acceptance becomes one of the strongest sources of emotional peace in your life. You cannot save everyone. One of the hardest lessons of emotional detachment is realizing that you cannot save everyone, no matter how much you care or how good your intentions are. Many times, we carry the weight of other people's problems on our shoulders. We try to fix their mistakes, heal their wounds, change their habits, or pull them out of situations they keep returning to. But in this process, we often drain our own energy, lose our own peace, and forget our own life. Detachment gently reminds you that every person has their own path, and you cannot walk it for them. You can guide someone, but you cannot choose for them. You can support them, but you cannot force them to change. You can love them deeply, but you cannot live their life. Some people will only learn through experience, and some will not change until life teaches them the lesson directly. When you accept this truth, you stop trying to rescue people who are not ready to be saved. You stop exhausting yourself for someone who does not take responsibility for their own growth. You stop giving more than your heart can handle. Instead, you offer support without losing yourself, you give kindness without sacrificing your peace, and you love without carrying someone else's emotional burden. This understanding brings a deep sense of relief and clarity. You realize that saving yourself, your mind, your peace, your energy is just as important as caring for others, and that the best help you can sometimes give someone is to step back and let them learn their own lessons in their own time. This is the compassionate power of knowing that you cannot save everyone. Your worth is not connected to someone's opinion. Emotional detachment becomes truly powerful when you finally understand that your worth is not tied to what someone else thinks about you. Most people spend their lives seeking approval, wanting to be liked, accepted, praised, or validated. We worry about others' opinions so much that we forget who we really are. A small criticism can shake us, and a small compliment can make us feel worthy again. But this constant need for validation becomes a trap because your peace starts depending on other people's moods, words, and judgments. Detachment frees you from this emotional prison. It helps you realize that opinions are just opinions. They change, they are subjective, and they are based on someone else's mindset, insecurities, and experiences. They do not define your value. When you detach from the need to be validated, you begin to live from a place of inner confidence. You stop overthinking what others might say. You stop shaping your life just to please people. You stop collapsing every time someone doesn't approve of you. Instead, you start trusting yourself more. You start doing things because they feel right to you, not because they look right to others. You become emotionally free. Free from judgment, free from fear, free from self-doubt created by external noise. And in that freedom, you discover your true worth, steady, strong, and untouched by anyone's opinion. That is the beautiful strength of detaching from validation. Detachment teaches you to walk away with grace. One of the most important lessons emotional detachment teaches us is how to walk away from people or situations without anger, resentment, or regret. Life brings many people into our path. Some stay for a lifetime, while others come to teach us lessons and then move on. Often, we cling to relationships or connections that no longer serve our growth, believing that holding on will bring happiness, love, or security. But detachment shows us that not every person is meant to stay forever, and that letting go is not failure, it is wisdom. When you learn to detach, you understand that walking away doesn't have to be dramatic, hurtful, or filled with blame. You can leave with calmness, with gratitude for the lessons learned, and with love that doesn't bind. You realize that some people are here to teach patience, resilience, or self-worth, and once their purpose is served, holding on only creates pain. Detachment gives you the courage to step back from toxic situations or unfulfilling relationships while preserving your dignity and inner peace. It allows you to move forward without bitterness, to open space in your life for the right people and opportunities, and to trust that life will guide you toward those who truly belong in your journey. In essence, detachment transforms endings into graceful transitions, making walking away not a loss, but a powerful act of self-respect, clarity, and emotional freedom. You stop chasing people who don't choose you. Emotional detachment teaches a profound truth about love and relationships. Real love never requires begging or chasing. Many of us waste endless energy trying to win the attention, affection, or approval of people who are not fully present in our lives. We call, message, compromise, and bend over backwards, hoping they will finally choose us. But in doing so, we lose our own peace and self-respect. Detachment helps you see that love is not about convincing someone to stay or trying to fill gaps in their heart. Love is mutual, natural, and effortless. When you detach, you stop clinging to those who are not willing to be with you, and instead you focus on yourself, your growth, and your happiness. You realize that your value is not dependent on whether someone notices you, loves you, or prioritizes you. This awareness frees you from emotional exhaustion and opens space for authentic connections. Relationships where affection is given freely, reciprocated naturally, and appreciated genuinely. You no longer chase validation or attachment from people who cannot give it, and in that freedom, you discover the beauty of self-respect and inner peace. Detachment teaches that letting go is not about losing love, but about creating room for the kind of love that chooses you without effort, a love that nourishes your soul rather than drains it. You stop forcing things. Emotional detachment teaches you the gentle art of letting life unfold naturally instead of forcing outcomes, people, or situations to bend to your will. Most of the time, our suffering comes from trying too hard, trying to make someone love us, trying to make a situation perfect, trying to control what is beyond our reach. We push, we struggle, and we exhaust ourselves, believing that without constant effort, things will slip away. But detachment shows that what is truly meant for you will come and stay without force. When you stop pushing, stop stressing, and stop controlling, you create space for life to flow in its own perfect rhythm. You realize that calmness and patience are far more powerful than anxiety and struggle. Instead of fighting reality, you observe, you adjust, and you allow events to happen naturally. This does not mean you become passive. It means you invest your energy wisely, focusing on what you can influence and releasing what you cannot. When you stop forcing things, you stop creating unnecessary resistance, frustration, and disappointment. You begin to trust that life has a timing and a way of bringing what is yours without struggle. Opportunities, people, and experiences will come to you when the moment is right, and your calm presence attracts what belongs to you effortlessly. Through this practice, you discover peace, patience, and a quiet confidence that nothing truly meant for you will ever pass you by. Detachment makes your decisions clearer. One of the greatest gifts of emotional detachment is the clarity it brings to your decisions. When we are too attached to outcomes, people, or situations, our feelings cloud our judgment. Anger, fear, desire, or longing often push us to make choices that we later regret. We react impulsively, follow temporary emotions, and lose sight of what is truly best for us. Detachment, however, creates a space between your emotions and your actions. By stepping back and observing without attachment, you allow yourself to see the situation more clearly, without the distortion of emotional turbulence. Decisions no longer feel like urgent crises. They become thoughtful, deliberate, and aligned with your long-term well-being. Detachment does not make you cold or indifferent. It makes you wise. You still care, but you no longer act under pressure or rush because of fleeting emotions. Distance gives you perspective. It helps you see which relationships, opportunities, and actions serve your growth and which drain your energy. Over time, this clarity becomes a habit. Your choices become more confident, more rational, and more in harmony with your values. Ultimately, detachment transforms decision-making from a reactive struggle into a calm, empowering, and clear process that protects your peace and guides you toward what is truly right for your life. You learn to respond, not react. Emotional detachment teaches a subtle but life-changing skill, the difference between responding and reacting. Most of our suffering comes from reacting impulsively, saying things in anger, making decisions in fear, or acting from old wounds and insecurities. Reactions are often automatic. They come from pain, ego, or past experiences, and they rarely serve us in the long run. Responding, on the other hand, comes from awareness, patience, and wisdom. When you practice detachment, you create a pause between feeling and action. You learn to observe your emotions without being controlled by them. You ask yourself, does this action serve my peace, my growth, or my values? This small but powerful pause allows you to choose a thoughtful response instead of a rash reaction. Responding is deliberate, calm, and rooted in understanding, while reacting is impulsive, emotional, and often destructive. Over time, this practice transforms your relationships, your work, and your life. You speak with clarity instead of anger, make decisions with insight instead of impulse, and act with intention instead of being swept away by old patterns. Detachment teaches that true strength lies not in suppressing emotions, but in mastering them, in choosing how to act wisely even when your heart is stirred. By learning to respond instead of react, you protect your peace, preserve your dignity, and navigate life with grace, confidence, and emotional intelligence. You create boundaries without feeling guilt. Emotional detachment teaches one of the most important skills for a peaceful life, creating boundaries without feeling guilty. Many people struggle with saying no because they fear disappointing others, being judged, or losing love and acceptance. We often overextend ourselves, agree to things we don't want to do, and sacrifice our peace just to keep others happy. Detachment helps you understand that your well-being is just as important as anyone else's, and that setting limits is not selfish, it is necessary. When you detach emotionally, saying no becomes natural, calm, and confident. You no longer feel the need to explain, justify, or feel guilty for protecting your time, energy, and heart. Boundaries become an act of self-respect, a declaration that you value your peace above temporary approval. You start recognizing what is your responsibility and what is not, and you let go of the need to carry everyone else's burdens. People who respect you will accept your limits, and those who don't are showing you why distance is necessary. Over time, this practice brings immense freedom. You feel lighter, more centered, and less drained by unnecessary obligations. You realize that boundaries are not walls. They are gentle fences that protect your inner garden, allowing you to grow, thrive, and love without losing yourself in the process. This is the true art of creating boundaries without guilt. You understand that silence is also communication. Emotional detachment teaches a powerful lesson. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Many of us feel compelled to explain ourselves, justify our actions, or argue every point, believing that speaking constantly proves our worth, clears misunderstandings, or earns respect. But often, over-explaining or arguing only fuels tension, creates conflict, and drains our energy. Detachment helps you realize that not everything needs a response, not every opinion needs to be challenged, and not every situation requires your voice. Silence becomes a tool of wisdom, a way to protect your peace and maintain clarity. When you step back and remain calm, you communicate respect for yourself and for others, and you give space for emotions to settle naturally. Silence also allows you to observe, reflect, and respond only when it truly matters. You begin to understand that some people only need to see your calm presence, not hear your justification, to recognize your strength and integrity. By choosing silence over unnecessary arguments, you avoid conflict, preserve relationships, and conserve emotional energy. Detachment teaches that communication is not always about words. Sometimes it is about restraint, patience, and inner composure. In this quiet power, you find control over yourself, clarity in your thoughts, and the ability to maintain peace in situations where noise and reaction would only create chaos. You detach from outcomes you can't control. Emotional detachment teaches one of the most freeing lessons in life, focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. So often, we tie our happiness, peace, and self-worth to outcomes, the result of a project, a relationship, a conversation, or a personal goal. When things don't turn out as we hoped, we feel frustrated, disappointed, or even defeated. But detachment shows that you cannot control everything in life. You cannot control other people's choices, reactions, or decisions, and you cannot predict every circumstance. What you can control is your effort, your attitude, and your intentions. By focusing on giving your best without obsessing over results, you free yourself from unnecessary worry and stress. You do the work, put in your energy, and then allow life to unfold naturally. Detachment does not mean lack of ambition. It means understanding the difference between effort and outcome and choosing peace over constant anxiety about things beyond your reach. It helps you remain steady when results are delayed, when situations change, or when people act differently than you expected. You realize that your value is not measured by success or failure, and your happiness is not dependent on external validation. By detaching from outcomes, you reclaim your mental clarity, protect your emotional energy, and cultivate a calm, confident approach to life where effort is meaningful and results are secondary. In this way, detachment transforms uncertainty from a source of stress into a space of freedom and inner strength. Detachment protects you from emotional manipulation. One of the most powerful benefits of emotional detachment is that it shields you from being controlled or manipulated by others. Emotional manipulation often works because we react impulsively. We respond to guilt, fear, anger, or flattery without thinking, and in doing so, we give others power over our emotions and decisions. Detachment teaches you to pause, observe, and step back from the emotional pull of others. When you are detached, you no longer react automatically to someone's provocations, demands, or attempts to influence you. You begin to see manipulation for what it is, without taking it personally, without feeling guilty, and without giving it power over your mind or heart. Detachment doesn't make you cold or uncaring. It makes you aware, grounded, and unshakable. You can engage with people, set boundaries, and respond thoughtfully without being controlled by their tactics. When you don't react to emotional triggers, manipulators lose their leverage, and your peace remains intact. Over time, this awareness builds a strong inner shield. You become confident in your choices, free from external control, and capable of maintaining calm even in challenging interactions. Detachment gives you the ability to stay centered, make decisions with clarity, and protect your heart from unnecessary pain. In essence, it transforms emotional vulnerability into emotional strength, allowing you to live your life on your terms without being swayed or drained by others' attempts to manipulate your feelings. You stop overthinking because you stop assuming. Emotional detachment helps you break free from the endless cycle of overthinking, which often stems from assumptions rather than reality. Most of our mental stress is created not by what actually happens, but by the stories we imagine in our minds. Imagining worst-case scenarios, predicting how others might react, or assuming intentions that may not exist. When you detach, you begin to notice these thought patterns and realize that assumptions are not facts. You learn to separate imagination from reality, and in doing so, you free yourself from unnecessary worry, fear, and anxiety. Detachment encourages you to focus on what is real, what is observable, and what you can act upon, rather than spinning endless what-ifs that drain your energy. You start responding to facts instead of reacting to imagined fears. This practice brings clarity and peace because you are no longer trapped in the mind's habit of exaggerating problems or misreading situations. Over time, you realize that most of your fears were never true, most of your doubts were unnecessary, and much of your stress was self-created. By letting go of assumptions, you reclaim mental calmness, emotional balance, and the ability to act with clarity and confidence. Detachment teaches that peace comes not from controlling the outside world, but from understanding the difference between what is real and what is imagined and choosing to live in truth rather than fear. You learn to sit with uncomfortable emotions. Emotional detachment teaches one of the most important skills for inner growth, learning to sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of running from them. Life naturally brings moments of sadness, anger, fear, or disappointment, and our instinct is often to escape these feelings, to distract ourselves, avoid them, or suppress them. But detachment shows that true emotional strength comes from facing these feelings with awareness and patience. It is not about shutting down or ignoring your emotions. It is about observing them without being controlled by them. When you sit with discomfort, you begin to understand the root of your emotions, why they arise, what triggers them, and what lessons they carry. This mature understanding transforms emotional pain into insight, helping you grow and respond more wisely. You realize that feelings are temporary waves passing through you, and by acknowledging them without judgment, you prevent them from overwhelming or defining you. Over time, sitting with emotions without escaping builds resilience, calmness, and a deep sense of self-awareness. You learn that detachment is not avoidance. It is the art of embracing reality as it is, feeling fully without being consumed, and navigating life with clarity, strength, and peace. In this practice, discomfort becomes a teacher, and your mind and heart become more grounded, stable, and free. You stop depending on people for happiness. Emotional detachment teaches a life-changing lesson. True happiness cannot be given by others. It must come from within. Most people unconsciously depend on friends, family, partners, or colleagues for their emotional well-being. We look for validation, love, attention, or approval to feel worthy, secure, or joyful. But relying on others for happiness makes us vulnerable, anxious, and unsteady because people, situations, and circumstances are unpredictable. Detachment helps you shift your focus inward. You begin to realize that you are the source of your own peace and joy. Your emotions become your responsibility, not someone else's. When you cultivate your inner happiness, you stop seeking it externally, and you stop being disappointed when others fail to meet your expectations. This doesn't make you distant or uncaring, it makes you strong, balanced, and emotionally independent. You can share love and joy with others, but you no longer depend on them to feel complete. Life becomes lighter, calmer, and more fulfilling because your happiness is no longer controlled by external forces. Detachment empowers you to cultivate self-love, gratitude, and contentment, and in this freedom, you discover that the most reliable, lasting, and deep happiness comes from nurturing your own heart and mind. You become your own emotional source, and nothing or no one can take that away. You learn the art of observing. Emotional detachment teaches you the subtle and transformative art of observing your emotions without getting caught up in them. Life is full of feelings, happiness, anger, fear, sadness, excitement, and our natural tendency is to grab onto them, analyze them, and let them control our thoughts and actions. Detachment shows you that you don't have to be controlled by every emotion that arises. Instead, you can learn to watch your feelings like clouds passing through the sky. They appear, they move, and eventually they fade, but the sky, your true self, remains calm and steady. Observing without attachment allows you to notice patterns, triggers, and reactions without judgment or self-criticism. You begin to see that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent realities. This practice brings a sense of freedom. You no longer react impulsively to every wave of anger, jealousy, or fear. You respond with calmness and clarity. Over time, observing becomes a habit of awareness. You understand yourself more deeply, you regulate your emotions naturally, and you maintain peace even in challenging situations. Detachment transforms observation into a powerful skill, a way to live fully, feel deeply, and yet remain grounded and centered, free from the storms of your mind. You understand that everything is temporary. Emotional detachment teaches the profound truth that nothing in life is permanent, not moments of joy, not times of struggle, and not the people who come and go in your life. We often cling to happiness, fearing it will end, or hold on to pain, wishing it would last, but both are illusions. Detachment helps you see life as a flow of ever-changing experiences. Good times are to be cherished, but not clung to. And difficult times are to be endured, but not feared endlessly, because both will pass. Similarly, relationships, achievements, and circumstances are temporary. People enter your life for a season, a reason, or a lesson, and trying to hold them forever only leads to frustration and suffering. When you internalize this truth, you stop resisting change and stop fearing loss. You begin to accept life as it comes, with all its highs and lows, and move through it with grace and balance. This understanding brings freedom. You celebrate the good without attachment and face the challenges without despair. You learn to live fully in the present moment, knowing that each experience, no matter how beautiful or painful, is fleeting. Through detachment, you cultivate a deep sense of peace, resilience, and clarity, understanding that impermanence is not something to fear, but a natural rhythm of life that allows you to grow, let go, and appreciate every moment as it comes. You detach from your past. Emotional detachment teaches you the vital lesson of letting go of your past and understanding that it no longer defines you. Many people carry regrets, guilt, or pain from past experiences, replaying mistakes or hurts over and over in their minds. This constant clinging keeps them stuck, unable to fully live in the present or plan for the future. Detachment helps you see that the past cannot be changed. It is already written, and no amount of worry or regret can alter it. What you can do, however, is learn from it. Every failure, every heartbreak, and every difficult moment holds lessons that can guide your growth and wisdom. By accepting your past as a teacher rather than a burden, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. You no longer let old memories control your emotions, dictate your actions, or influence your self-worth. Instead, you observe them, understand the lessons, and move forward with awareness and peace. Detachment allows you to honor your past without letting it weigh you down, giving you the strength to embrace the present fully and create a future with clarity and purpose. In this way, releasing attachment to the past becomes a pathway to emotional freedom, self-understanding, and inner calm. You detach from your fears. Emotional detachment teaches you a transformative way to relate to fear, not as a master controlling your life, but a messenger bringing awareness. Most people live in constant tension because they allow fear to dominate their thoughts, choices, and actions. Fear tells you that something is dangerous, that you might fail, or that you are not enough, and if you take it too seriously, it can limit your growth, hold you back from opportunities, and drain your energy. Detachment shows you that fear is natural and inevitable, but it is not who you are. When you detach from fear, you observe it instead of being overwhelmed by it. You ask, what is this fear trying to tell me? Is it protecting me, or is it just a habit of my mind? This shift in perspective turns fear into a guide rather than a prison. You acknowledge its presence, learn from its message, and make conscious choices rather than reacting out of anxiety. Over time, this practice builds courage, resilience, and clarity. You begin to take risks, face challenges, and pursue your goals with confidence, knowing that fear may arise but does not define or control you. Detachment empowers you to live fully, act boldly, and remain calm in the face of uncertainty, seeing fear as a signal to pay attention, not a command to retreat. In this way, fear becomes a teacher and your inner strength becomes the master. You understand that everything is temporary. Emotional detachment teaches the profound truth that nothing in life is permanent, not moments of joy, not times of struggle, and not the people who come and go in your life. We often cling to happiness, fearing it will end, or hold on to pain, wishing it would last, but both are illusions. Detachment helps you see life as a flow of ever-changing experiences. Good times are to be cherished, but not clung to, and difficult times are to be endured, but not feared endlessly, because both will pass. Similarly, relationships, achievements, and circumstances are temporary. People enter your life for a season, a reason, or a lesson, and trying to hold them forever only leads to frustration and suffering. When you internalize this truth, you stop resisting change and stop fearing loss. You begin to accept life as it comes, with all its highs and lows, and move through it with grace and balance. This understanding brings freedom. You celebrate the good without attachment and face the challenges without despair. You learn to live fully in the present moment, knowing that each experience, no matter how beautiful or painful, is fleeting. Through detachment, you cultivate a deep sense of peace, resilience, and clarity, understanding that impermanence is not something to fear, but a natural rhythm of life that allows you to grow, let go, and appreciate every moment as it comes. You detach from your past. Emotional detachment teaches you the vital lesson of letting go of your past and understanding that it no longer defines you. Many people carry regrets, guilt, or pain from past experiences, replaying mistakes or hurts over and over in their minds. This constant clinging keeps them stuck, unable to fully live in the present or plan for the future. Detachment helps you see that the past cannot be changed. It is already written, and no amount of worry or regret can alter it. What you can do, however, is learn from it. Every failure, every heartbreak, and every difficult moment holds lessons that can guide your growth and wisdom. By accepting your past as a teacher rather than a burden, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. You no longer let old memories control your emotions, dictate your actions, or influence your self-worth. Instead, you observe them, understand the lessons, and move forward with awareness and peace. Detachment allows you to honor your past without letting it weigh you down, giving you the strength to embrace the present fully and create a future with clarity and purpose. In this way, releasing attachment to the past becomes a pathway to emotional freedom, self-understanding, and inner calm. You detach from your fears. Emotional detachment teaches you a transformative way to relate to fear, not as a master controlling your life, but a messenger bringing awareness. Most people live in constant tension because they allow fear to dominate their thoughts, choices, and actions. Fear tells you that something is dangerous, that you might fail, or that you are not enough, and if you take it too seriously, it can limit your growth, hold you back from opportunities, and drain your energy. Detachment shows you that fear is natural and inevitable, but it is not who you are. When you detach from fear, you observe it instead of being overwhelmed by it. You ask, what is this fear trying to tell me? Is it protecting me, or is it just a habit of my mind? This shift in perspective turns fear into a guide rather than a prison. You acknowledge its presence, learn from its message, and make conscious choices rather than reacting out of anxiety. Over time, this practice builds courage, resilience, and clarity. You begin to take risks, face challenges, and pursue your goals with confidence, knowing that fear may arise but does not define or control you. Detachment empowers you to live fully, act boldly, and remain calm in the face of uncertainty, seeing fear as a signal to pay attention, not a command to retreat. In this way, fear becomes a teacher, and your inner strength becomes the master. You stop living in the present moment. Emotional detachment teaches you the incredible power of living fully in the present moment. So often, we are trapped in the past, replaying memories, regrets, and mistakes, or lost in the future, worrying about what might happen, imagining problems, or planning endlessly. This constant mental wandering steals our peace and keeps us emotionally restless. Detachment helps you shift your awareness to the here and now, where life is actually happening. Mindfulness, the practice of paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, surroundings, and actions, becomes a gateway to emotional freedom. When you live in the present, you experience life directly, without the filter of fear, regret, or expectation. You savor small joys, notice beauty, and feel gratitude for simple moments that often go unnoticed. Detachment does not mean ignoring your responsibilities or goals. It means fully engaging with what is happening now while letting go of attachments to outcomes or judgments about past and future. This presence reduces anxiety, calms the mind, and strengthens your ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Over time, living in the present becomes a natural state where your emotions are stable, your focus is clear, and your heart feels lighter. You realize that happiness and peace are not somewhere in the past or the future. They exist in the moment, and detachment helps you embrace that truth fully. You stop trying to win every argument. Emotional detachment teaches you the invaluable lesson that peace is far more important than winning an argument. Many of us feel compelled to prove we are right, to defend our opinions, or to convince others to see things our way. But this constant need to win often comes at the cost of our calm, our relationships, and our emotional energy. Detachment helps you recognize that not every discussion is worth your time or emotional investment. You learn to let go of the desire to control others' thoughts and to accept that people have different perspectives, experiences, and beliefs. By doing so, you protect your peace, preserve relationships, and avoid unnecessary conflict. It does not mean you stop expressing yourself or standing up for what is right. It means you choose your battles wisely and respond with calmness instead of anger. You realize that forcing agreement rarely changes minds, but maintaining your composure strengthens your character and earns respect naturally. Over time, detachment transforms your approach to disagreements. You engage with clarity and kindness, focus on understanding rather than defeating, and prioritize harmony over ego. This practice brings profound emotional freedom because you no longer tie your happiness or self-worth to who wins in any situation. Instead, you cultivate inner peace as the true victory, and that peace becomes your most valuable and lasting reward. You detach from the need to rush life. Emotional detachment teaches you the wisdom of patience and the importance of letting life unfold at its natural pace. Many people feel constant pressure to achieve, succeed, or reach milestones quickly, comparing themselves to others or to unrealistic timelines. This rush creates stress, anxiety, and a sense of never being enough, making life feel like a relentless race. Detachment helps you step back and realize that growth, learning, and transformation cannot be forced. They take time, experience, and consistent effort. By letting go of the need to hurry, you allow yourself to fully experience each moment, to learn lessons deeply, and to develop skills, relationships, and wisdom naturally. You understand that every stage of life has its own purpose, and skipping steps or rushing through experiences only weakens the foundation for lasting success and happiness. Patience becomes a powerful ally, helping you remain calm in uncertainty and resilient in challenges. Over time, detachment transforms your perspective. You measure progress by growth, understanding, and fulfillment, not by speed or comparison. Life becomes a journey to savor rather than a race to finish, and you embrace the beauty of unfolding experiences without anxiety or haste. In this way, detachment frees you from the tyranny of timelines, allowing you to grow steadily, deeply, and meaningfully. You realize that real strength is calmness. Emotional detachment teaches one of the most profound truths about true strength. It lies in calmness, not in aggression, control, or outward displays of power. Many people equate strength with loudness, dominance, or the ability to make others bend to their will. But this is only superficial power. Real strength is the quiet, steady ability to remain composed in any situation, to manage your emotions, and to act from clarity rather than impulsively. Detachment allows you to observe life without being shaken by chaos, criticism, or unexpected challenges. When you cultivate calmness, you are no longer reactive to anger, fear, or stress. You respond thoughtfully and deliberately. This inner poise gives you a resilience that is unshakable, a confidence that does not need validation, and a presence that commands respect naturally. Calm people are often misunderstood as passive or weak, but in reality, they are deeply self-controlled, emotionally mature, and powerful in ways that loudness and aggression cannot achieve. By practicing detachment, you discover that maintaining your peace is one of the strongest forms of influence. It allows you to navigate relationships, challenges, and life's uncertainty with dignity, balance, and wisdom. True strength, therefore, is not in the struggle to dominate or prove, but in the ability to remain calm, centered, and unperturbed no matter what life throws your way. Detachment makes you emotionally independent. Emotional detachment teaches you the ultimate lesson of self-reliance, becoming emotionally independent. Life is unpredictable, and circumstances, relationships, and people can change, disappoint, or even hurt you. Without detachment, these external shifts can shake your inner stability, leaving you feeling broken, overwhelmed, or powerless. But when you practice detachment, you build resilience that comes from within. You no longer rely on situations, outcomes, or others' actions to maintain your peace and happiness. Instead, you learn to bend with challenges, to absorb the shocks of life without collapsing, and to respond with strength and clarity. Detachment allows you to heal quickly after setbacks, to release emotional burdens that do not serve you, and to rise stronger than before no matter what happens around you. It transforms you from someone who is reactive and dependent on external validation into a person who is self-sufficient, grounded, and steady in the face of life's storms. Emotional independence does not mean isolation or lack of care. It means that your peace and strength come from your own awareness, wisdom, and inner resources. In this state, you move through life with confidence, courage, and freedom, fully capable of navigating challenges, embracing growth, and thriving without being broken by external circumstances. Detachment makes you unshakable, resilient, and beautifully self-reliant, allowing your spirit to rise, heal, and flourish no matter what life brings. Thank you for listening to this journey into the art of emotional detachment. If you found these insights powerful and life-changing, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and leave your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Bite-Size Book English, for more practical audiobook summaries and life-transforming lessons. Your support helps us create more content to inspire and empower you every day. Remember, peace, clarity, and emotional freedom are just a choice away. Start practicing detachment and watch your life transform.